Lamar Jackson misses practice with a non-injury rest day. Keaton Mitchell is practicing though. We'll go over who was there today. We'll also discuss the Ravens signing a new guard and hear from John Harbaugh on his thoughts about that new addition playing. And we'll discuss Harbaugh saying that he has no more plans to have a rotation on the offensive line. We also hear from Kyle Hamilton, who talks about season expectations before the season started and the reality of them being 6-7 now, and how he still believes that they will turn this around and it will be a heck of a story. And we discussed Jeremy Fowler saying that a realistic offseason addition is George Pickens to the Ravens. All that and more in today's episode of the Flock Rundown.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. So the Ravens were back to practice today. No Lamar Jackson, which has been a common theme for him to miss at least one practice during the week. And John Harbaugh said that Lamar Jackson was given a non-injury rest day. So this is not due to him having a new injury or anything like that. They're just giving him 1 day of rest, and I would expect him to be back the rest of the week, hopefully. Chidobe Awuzie was the only other Raven not practicing today. Good news is that Keaton Mitchell was already back to practice, so that is a great sign. We heard from Harbaugh on Monday saying that Keaton was day-to-day. Keaton's not missing any practice at all, so he should be good to go this Sunday, and that knee injury is nothing serious, thank God. Now, yesterday, the Ravens made a roster move and signed guard Laken Tomlinson, who was recently on the Texans. They signed him to the practice squad, and they released defensive end Carl Lawson. Lawson responded to a tweet saying that he wasn't having good practices, and then Lawson said, nope, not at all, quite the opposite. Some of the best practices, actually. Organization needed to do what was best for them. Roster dynamics, still a great place. Thankful for the opportunity. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to see much Carl Lawson at all. I was excited about that addition to add more juice to the pass rush room, and then we traded for Draymond Jones. Obviously, that made it a little bit harder to have a clear path for playing time, and then now Lawson is an unfortunate part of the roster dynamic, like he said, because I think that Laken was signed to replace Ben Cleveland, who is serving his suspension. I saw a lot of fans instantly jumping to say that Laken was brought in to replace Fa'alele or Voorhees, and I just don't see that being the case. And John Harbaugh spoke today on the chance of Laken playing, and he seemed pretty unsure about it.
Yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. I'm just kind of getting to know him. He played, obviously, great career, long time, very physical, tough, hard-nosed player. Had a chance to speak with him this morning. What a great conversation. Great man, family man. And had played some football this year. Had played quite a bit. So we'll see how quickly it gets up to speed and kind of how it falls in with what we're doing.
Now, Tomlinson does have some starting experience on the Texans this year, but just listening to Harbaugh and just the fact that we needed an extra guard because Cleveland's not on the roster essentially because of this suspension, I just think that this is a pure depth practice squad move, and maybe if he balls out in practice over the next few weeks, there's a chance you could see a guard change, but for something to happen this week or even in the short term at all would be highly unlikely. It doesn't seem like any offensive line changes are coming. Harbaugh continues to talk positively about the offensive line, which is shocking, and I still stand on the fact that he's just doing that publicly. I hope so. If everyone's satisfied with the offensive line play behind closed doors, and we got a clean house from a coaching perspective. I really believe this is just a public defense, and for better or worse. I'm not saying that that's a good thing to do, but I don't think that behind closed doors they are being so friendly with the offensive line performance, especially the guards. But I don't know, man. Who knows what's going on behind closed doors? Only they do. And another thing that shocked me that probably shouldn't shock me is that Cordell asked John Harbaugh today if he had any plans to continue or resume the rotation at left guard with Emery Jones Jr. and Voorhees, and he said that he does not have any plans to rotate anymore.
Emery Jones on Monday, but is the plan still to try to sprinkle him out there in the rotation form that it was before?
You mean 2 weeks ago? No, it's not the same plan as that right now, no.
I really did not think the tape that Emery Jones Jr. put out in that limited amount of snaps in the Bengals game on Thanksgiving was that bad. I thought it warranted to see more. I mean, this is a young player who is only going to have a ton of upside, and that was his first NFL game, and I thought it went pretty well for the circumstances. And it seems like they're rolling with Voorhees and Fa'alele for the rest of this season, regardless, which I shouldn't be shocked about. I'm just shocked that they put Emery in for multiple drives. I didn't think it was that bad, and for some reason Harbaugh thinks that it's just not even close to what Voorhees or Fa'alele are doing. Well, I guess Emery's not really in the mix for the right guard spot at all, so we only got to talk about Voorhees. But still, I mean, neither guard is playing well. We have another option, and it just seems like he's not even going to get a chance for the rest of the season. So we're stuck with this offensive line, and the pain shall continue, I guess. Hopefully we can overcome it, but this offensive line has to play way better than they have been. Mainly the guards. I'm not calling out everybody, but I mean, as a whole, the unit has regressed this season, and it has affected performance. It's taken away, plays downfield. It's ending drives, especially when, Fa'alele, Voorhees are getting beat so bad, so fast. It kills drives, man. You cannot have that. You have to have more stability on the offensive line, and I can't wait for this offseason to be aggressive in stacking up these trenches. They better be aggressive in building up these trenches and building a wall in front of Lamar. I think it's the most important thing, but we're stuck with this for the rest of the season, it seems like. In some positive news, it does seem like our Darius Washington and Tavius Robinson do have a real chance to play this Sunday. We heard some of that last week, especially with our Darius, so I'm expecting to see one of them out there. I'd be surprised if both are inactive. They both may be active for this game, but, some more defensive help is on the way, which is nice.
Honestly, the first 2 games was hard for me to watch because I felt truthfully I was letting my team down not being out there, so it was hard to even just stomach watching my guys go out there. Once I was able to get on the sideline and kind of have the earpiece in and all that, it was easier to be a part of it. But yeah, it was hard at the start for sure.
Being forced to watch, were you able to learn anything from having that different perspective?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's a reminder to never take a snap for granted. I was kind of saying when I was hurt, I would die to just go out there and play a field goal block snap, anything. So it's just a reminder of never to take it for granted, and every play, every snap has to be full effort, full everything, because you never know when it's taken away. So.
Kyle Hamilton spoke to the media today, talked about how he's getting tired of coming up every week and saying that they got to play better, they got to execute better. We're this late in the season, and it sounds like a broken record. He also spoke on expectations prior to the season versus the reality that they are in currently at 6-7, and how he still believes that the Ravens are going to turn this around, and it's going to be a heck of a story.
It's not hard, but it's a little annoying, not from you guys, but for myself, having to get up here every week and be like, we need to turn it on, we need to turn it on. It's been like that ever since week 1. It's time that we go out and do it, and there's no excuses that are to be made at this point. But like I said, it's a lot of talk. I mean, we can stand up here and tell you our plan every week, but it's a matter of us going out there and actually executing it. So we feel like we've done that multiple times this year. We just got to replicate it down the stretch. Thinking just about all the sports and all the champions that I've seen recently, and just how they got there, and it kind of put things in perspective for me. The French Open, Carlos Alcaraz has 3 match points. He's down 3 match points, comes back, wins. Rory McIlroy loses the U.S. Open like that last year, misses a putt on 18 at the Masters. Everything looks like he's about to choke again, wins the Masters. F1 driver, I don't know if you guys watched that, but Max Verstappen, middle of the year, it looks like he's not even going to finish in the top 3 or 4 for the Drivers' Championship. Put himself in position last week to win the whole thing. LeBron down 3-1 in the finals, comes back and wins it. It's it never really is the Cinderella fairy tale season that it's going to be. I mean, and that just is what it is. I mean, the Patriots won all those games and then lost in the Super Bowl, and nobody really cares about the undefeated record up until that point. So it's not about how you get there, it's just a matter of you getting there. I think the mindset that we have to have is kind of like that. All these great sports feats have come with challenge, and we could be another story along that road. So that's kind of the mindset I feel like we've taken upon ourselves right now. It's kind of the mindset we need to have in order to get where we want to go. But it's going to be a heck of a story. That's what we're telling ourselves.
The last thing I wanted to talk about today is Jeremy Fowler predicting that one realistic offseason move that could help a fallen preseason favorite is George Pickens to the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I don't know how realistic this is. I kind of would push back on Jeremy Fowler saying that this is a realistic expectations, but the Ravens do have way more cap room than most people think. We're sitting at around $40 million for next year right now without the Lamar Jackson extension. That's with a cap hit north of $70 million for Lamar Jackson. That's also with Nnamdi Madubuike having a cap hit of $30 million. And I don't know how that situation is going to play out. We have no new information. I don't know if he's going to retire. That would obviously help the Ravens cap situation. If he kind of just lets the situation linger, the Ravens are probably going to be without him and still have to pay and take that cap hit, which would suck. So the Ravens have a lot of flexibility this offseason. They also have their own guys to pay, though. Are they going to pay Travis Jones and or Tyler Linderbaum, Isaiah Likely, or Darius Washington? What's going to happen with Marlon Humphrey? Does Lamar get extended? There's so many variables. And also, after next year, are we going to pay Zay Flowers? In addition of George Pickens north of $30 million a year, and Zay north of $30 million or around $30 million, I just don't think is realistic at all. So I don't know how realistic this is, but I would totally take George Pickens in the black and purple. So I agree with Fowler on that front that would be a hell of an addition. I think that would be a weapon. Long term, our receiving core is not locked up. We don't know what's going to happen with Zay, who is entering his 5th year. Is Bateman going to end up staying here and being here for a while? He's not really on a big deal at all. We know Hopkins is not going to be here long term. We got Tez Walker and some younger options, but the Ravens are going to have to add another weapon. Obviously, they could do that through the draft as well for a lot cheaper than George Pickens. So I still would argue this is not realistic, although it is fun to think about. But that's it for today, guys. Just wanted to go over all the updates. We got a must-win game against Cincinnati this Sunday. Absolute must-win. We cannot lose 3 straight division games. The Ravens still control their own destiny. I know it's hard to have confidence that they're going to win out, but the potential of that happening is there. So I'll still be there rooting for them, and hope we do win out, and hope Kyle Hamilton's right and it's a heck of a story and somehow go win a championship. Wouldn't that be beautiful? But let me know what you guys are thinking about everything that we talked about today and just everything going on or anything that's on your mind. Appreciate you as always for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the Flock Rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.